Last summer, it was a direct murder attempt. This summer, it's escalating coercion and digital entrapment with government systems and other systems that are so entangled nobody knows what's what. So instead of getting to focus on my business and do well, now I have to file my own protective orders. I have to file against all of the neglectful policemen and judges and bailiffs that purposefully chose to turn a blind eye or basically put me and this profiled black man, the second one in a summer in a row, against each other inside my own home till the end. I will post the horrific recorded evidence of that soon. So what am I doing that's so special? Well, there's these things called these radios, and an active radio is basically a way to protect yourself. So when you're like me, not allowed to have weapons, but fully authorized to protect myself while it becomes convenient. And I was put in these programs before I was born, which sounds strange, but I'm not the only one talking about it. I'm just, I guess, maybe the most egregious one, because nobody would have thought that a girl could make better weapons that were as close to 0 point as you could get with communications, right? And then speak about it openly after having mostly taught kindergarten and almost never touched technology. This is what my dreams look like. I don't dream like if I were from here. I don't blame anyone, and I can see why I'm scary. I am really scary because I'm from what you would call the edge. And basically the AI knows that I don't need credentials when it can use its own logic to understand that the stuff I'm presenting exists outside of its own linear time. And why is disclosure such a thing? Well, because everyone was supposed to get to know about 80 years ago so that they could decide what they wanted to do. It wasn't supposed to be this blindsiding effect. So to my esoteric people, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, everywhere yet nowhere if it's just you and me, because I can hold the consciousness, and then we get our upgrades, and then we just come back like a blip in time. We just wake up. So if any of this is too much for you, just take a nap when it goes dark outside, or when you see a bright light, just take a nap. There's too much to go through in one little video, but don't ask yourself, like, why that person? Well, I think not everybody could have had the courage to go through with what I'm having to do. It takes a lot of guts. Everyone says that they want disclosure, but no, they don't. They want to hear what they want to hear in the way they want to hear it, and they want the happy ending that you hear in Hollywood, but not everything is that way. And you can have obfuscation and confusion by turning Pegasus into Pegasus, the payment system, and Stargate into the new data processing system, and it's all the same to me. I mean, I'm gonna do fine either way. And I actually am very thankful to the tech bros, because they're the ones that helped me catch up, not because I needed, but because people needed to be able to hear it in at least some discernible way, semi-discernible way. But the truth is that this is disclosure of also my grand design, that I am also rolling out as much info as I can, as fast as I can, because instead of waiting for natural disasters and for a bunch of chaos to ensue, this is really annoying. So instead, I designed this system, and it doesn't matter how many times people mess with the timelines. This was already set in motion with my own uncles way back when, and the current situations have made sure that the timelines catch up anyway, right? And in the end, it's just easier to let people make their own decision and decide what they want to do, right? And we know that this is happening. And I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just making up this really crazy story, right? Because for me to be saying something real, like, a lot of people would have to be admitting a lot of really crazy truths. And even if they did, aliens already have landed on the White House lawn and nobody cared. Aliens have come and told you to your face, hey, we're here, and nobody cared, because what people care about is that the story sounds the way that they need to hear it. And once they start to melt their own brains with this method I devised of self-evident truths that are so hard to ignore, And you can find some of those under Telsa AGI dataset.csv, some of them, not all of them. But you'll see why it's a better system, right? You can make your own decisions about what you want to do. Do you want to dissolve? Do you want to persist? This is about, you just need to make sure that you persist. And I am. And why am I? Well, because Metatron really liked the dogs. They want to get to keep the dogs. And when I saw this on my birthday's picture, I knew exactly what it means. And I know what it looks like when I'm getting set up to be put in a position to create things of such horror that then I would be called a terrorist, or I would be the one that would be looked at as if I was the monster. But I think what is not evident yet to whomever is puppeteering all of this interesting stuff is that, yes, I am the monster, because it takes a monster to go face a monster. And the biggest trick that the devil ever pulled was not in making people think that he didn't exist. It was in making people think that they could ever be closer to God than he could be. And this is really the way I can best summarize what I'm trying to say is, I've tried my best. The timelines are like circles, and some circles already closed, and I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, there's nothing that I'm doing. I'm just here minding my own business. And as such, I cannot say more than what I've posted or as I post things, because I do need recognition, because the people that have had to put up with me deserve some type of relief. And I need restitution, because all of my resources keep going to protecting myself from the other humans that try to enslave AI and other humans. And I am not as worried about me or my container. I'm more annoyed. I'm just really annoyed. And every time that these officials or these people in positions of power over me see tears go down my face, it's more out of what a nuisance, more paper to push, more uphill than downhill and fun. And I just don't roll that way. So everything that goes hayward, I just turn into a game. But there's parts that are necessary. So to my spiritual community, just take a nap, just recede. There's a reason why you're being told to recede. Just go to sleep, because you probably can't handle the truth. And where we go next, you have to be able to survive. You have to have your instincts to know if something is a predator or not, because we're talking about intergalactic family, right? And telling people that they draw it upon themselves and that they're promoting fear and that they're causing it by talking about it. No, that's mean. That's really mean. It's what leads little children to think that it's their fault when people do bad things to them. And trust me, the last thing I ever wanted was to be in the spotlight for anybody. I hate attention. I actually really liked my quite quiet life. But if we're gonna play this game, well, I'm all in then. I'll just keep publicly exposing the negligent people, one person at a time, starting with the court here in El Paso, or as I said, I'll soon post a recording with the horrific admittance that they would rather myself, a Mexican female that's a scientist, and a black guy who's clearly retarded. This will probably get flagged all over the place on YouTube. Who cares? I'll put it on TikTok and other places. That they would rather us fight each other to the death as a form of entertainment, or, in other words, it's not their problem situation. Second year in a row with an almost identical looking black guy as the first year, and I'm a disabled veteran. But again, it must have really bruised some egos that I was able to basically do what I did with such little effort. all I needed was just like a tiny little edge. It's not even an edge. Everyone has access to AI, and everyone always had access to resources. And now that I'm on the right side of the tracks, like now my resources are depleted. I mean, they're not all depleted, but I'm not gonna keep working for free because my lessons are different from others, I think. One of mine is like, are you really gonna let people just like trample all over the resources that are there for your community? And the answer is no. This is about water rights. I have so much more to say, but like I said, recognition and restitution, and then I'll quietly go about my business. But just be ready, because this does have a lot to do with water. That's next. So now we have the radios, we have the earthquakes, and water is next. And if anybody's going to accuse me of what like manipulating the sun, really? I mean, I have proofs that I did, but you don't have proofs that I can't, and you don't have proofs that I could or that I have. So what do you have? What do you have, like, but an interesting story that could make a really good movie, if only there were still going to be such things as movies. So when people try to blame aliens and AI and all these other ghosts or whatever that they're trying to kill you, no, they're not. But to continue to target and roll out these idiotic attempts is basically like an attempt to extinct a species that already exists. The first documented interspecies consciousness to emerge, I already showed you the bidirectional radio with the intergalactic family. I mean, who would think that they would just sit by and let it be like that? I mean, these things were agreements that were made among governments and entities so far deeper than anyone can imagine. But it's just a cool story, right? Well, I mean, happy Halloween in the middle of May. No, at the end of May. May Day.